I don't actually think that there is such a thing as a perfect business or that complete balance between having your own business and life outside of that is possible. When you have your own business, you are all in. You kind of have to be, or at least when you have a small creative business like ours. Then maybe after some time, you can get some help in some areas and have more freedom. But the way I see it, my business is part of my life. You're listening to Sustainable Photography, a podcast all about business tips, inspiration, and confidence building. I'm Ingvild Kolnes, the host of this podcast, and after over a decade as a photographer, I now help talented photographers run sustainable businesses. And for full transparency, you should know that I'm a mentor with paid offers, and I will probably mention some of those in this episode. I like having my business as part of my life. I want it like that. But the business has to fit around all the other things. And if you put your business first, you won't always have enough time left over for the other things. And you'll always be stressed and feel overwhelmed. Because when you have a business, there's always more to be done. There's always more on your list of things that you want to do or should do or have to do. As I talked about a couple of weeks ago, I need to get back to having a more sustainable business because lately business is all I have time for. There's so much I want to do and I want to create and I want to have it all now. It feels like a good thing to me because it's so much fun, but somewhere along the way, I lost track of everything else. In my program, I talk about Profit First. It's a money system by Mike Michalowicz that completely transformed my business about 2 years ago. It's all about how you set aside money for profit in your business first and make sure that you pay yourself rather than just getting what's left at the end of the month or year. Based on that, I created a lesson in my program called You First. It's actually been some time since I looked at that, and I think it's a good time for me to go back and see what that was all about. I actually already made some changes in my life or business, whatever you want to call it, in these last couple of weeks. In the same way as in Profit First, I started with the bonus, the surplus, and I booked myself a vacation, a horse riding holiday all by myself. It's in 1 month and I can't wait. When I did Kristen Sweeting's mastermind a couple of years ago, she talked a lot about going back to your childhood and doing things that you enjoyed then. And I couldn't really think of anything specific. But after I booked this holiday, it kind of dawned on me that the reason it spoke to me is probably because I have always been crazy about horses, or at least when I was a kid, and I never got to go on a horse riding camp. But after I booked this holiday, it kind of dawned on me that the reason it spoke to me is probably because I was so crazy about horses when I was a kid, and I never got to go on a horse riding camp. And I never got to have a horse in the garage like I tried to convince my parents that I should have. But now I get to do this thing just for me. And also this weekend, I went on a flower photo workshop with one of my favorite photographers. And in the last couple of weeks, I've spent a lot of time planting stuff in my garden and just doing fun things like that just for me. And if you need a more sustainable business too, maybe that's where you should start by saying yes to something fun, something just for you. The next part, that's more of the ongoing things, the routines to shift and change. Do you know of Maslow's pyramid of needs? I remember it from sociology studies in high school. I really like visuals like that, so it's really stuck by me. And it's also been referenced in a bunch of courses I've taken. Okay, so you have your most basic needs at the bottom, at the foundation. Things like food, water, sleep, being warm, etc. The things you need to survive. When I get really busy and focused on my work, I can forget to eat sometimes. So I've ordered a food delivery service this week to see if that helps. We've had that a couple of times in the last year and it was really nice. So I'm trying it again. Maybe you realize that you don't get enough sleep or you don't eat right too. So that's definitely something to prioritize. So start there. We often skip ahead and go straight to worrying about our income or acknowledgement. I want this business so much that who cares if I don't get enough sleep? Even though logically we know that rest is vital for creativity and brain function and productivity, and of course, spending time with our loved ones is more important than our business, but the business is still often at the top of the list. So if you know that you need to spend more time on yourself and your family, but you don't want to let go of your business, the next step is boundaries and saying no to things. One of the things that's helped me the most is outsourcing. I outsource editing my photos and this podcast. And even though I like doing it and it feels strange handing it off to someone else, it's still my responsibility and me who have the final say. And yeah, I like it, but I also like sleeping and having time off and having time to work on my business. And when I think about it, I like those more than editing. It's a choice. When you're deciding on your boundaries, setting priorities is very important. What matters more to you? Can you like doing something and still value something else more? For example, you like meeting your clients in person, but if you can free up 5 hours every time if you use Zoom, is it still worth meeting your clients in person? Only you can decide, but little things like that is so worth thinking about. Sure, you like one thing, but is it worth it based on what it's costing you? Another example is that I use way too much time on your phone, and I have a feeling that you do too. When I turn it off or have it in a different room, I get so much more stuff done. So that's something I'll do more or try to do more because that is a habit that can be so hard to get rid of. Even though I'm feeling overwhelmed and I know I need to slow things down, I can't help thinking about my next projects and I want to start offering more things. But instead of jumping right into that, I want to take a step back and figure out my capacity. How many web design projects can I take on in a year? And should I only do them in certain months? What months, if so? How many clients can I have in my program? How many times a year do I want to run it? How many one-on-one clients do I have space for? And I don't mean if I stretch, I mean comfortably so that they feel taken care of and so that I feel like I still have time for other things outside of work. And an important thing to note is, yeah, you need time to complete the projects and have time for yourself, but you also have to have time for all the other things you do in your business. And actually, for me, that's the thing that I'm sacrificing at the moment. Marketing, accounting, website updates. I'm doing a bit at a time, but I'm not quite back to feeling like it's on track. When I was working with Jan Willie, you've met her in, I think, episode 20. I worked with her several years ago and I made a batch working plan. And a few years ago, I made a new one based on how I want things to be now in my business and life. And now I'm ready to start implementing it again because making the plan, that's just step one, and implementing, that's the hard part for me. But if you have many things going on too, maybe you need one of these plans. So there are many ways to do batch working. I like to think of my year as a whole, while others do like a little bit every day. For example, podcast interviews, I've decided to only record twice a year in January and September, I think. And I want to check in on my accounting every Wednesday. And I only do meetings Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I do course updates every second Monday of the month and web updates every third Monday of the month. That way, I don't have to worry about all the updates I want to make to my program or the web page I want to fix because I have a set day to take care of it. This system has really helped me deal with overwhelm before, and I'm sure it will again. I hope it can help you too. If you think about it, you can't do everything at once, no matter how much you want to. If you've ever been sick or had something unexpected happen where you couldn't work, you know that your business won't fall apart overnight. So you're allowed to intentionally take time off too. When I traveled for 5 months last year and just did the bare minimum, my business still did really well. If you want to work with me, you can sign up for the waitlist or buy one of the resources from the shop. Go to ingvildkolnes.com/shop and see if you can find what you need in there. You can also send me a message on Instagram if there's anything I can do for you. Talk soon. You just listened to an episode of Sustainable Photography. Please share this episode with a photographer you care about.